Hello and welcome, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here on a Saturday. We have a few more folks getting their audio started and others coming in from the breakout room or the waiting room, excuse me. So bear with us for one more moment and we will get started with our program today. As a reminder, we do have interpretation available for those that want to listen to the program in Spanish. Feel free to click on the global icon below, or it'll say interpretation. And you want to click either the English option to listen to us in English today or the Spanish option. And if you have any difficulties, feel free to raise your hand and we can navigate you through it, or send us a message via chat box. Very good. So as others begin to join us, we did want to begin the day with getting to know each other with a couple of icebreakers. I do want to note that your participation is voluntary and your responses will be anonymous. So if you feel comfortable, feel free to engage with us for the questions that are going to be on your screen, and you'll also see it pop up as a poll. So in just one moment, please go ahead and share what region you're calling in from. You'll see that question in just one moment. I'll hang tight as folks respond. We're more than halfway there, 72%. If you haven't had the opportunity, please take the time to respond now, and I'll share the responses in a moment. Thank you all so much. So I'm going to end the poll now, and I'm going to share the results. So we have 28% of our participants zooming in from South LA, 13% from East LA, we have 6% from Central LA, 19% from West LA, and 34% outside of LA. So if you feel comfortable sharing your region with us, feel free to drop it in the chat box. Anywhere outside of LA, we've had folks participate across the country in our upward mobility programming. So we'd love to know where you're calling in from. And now we have our second question. We have the Bay Area represented here. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Our second question now is, what is your gender identity? And you'll see that pop up on your screen in just a moment. If you see icebreaker question number 2.
Rox, in the meantime, can we have one of our Spanish interpreters let individuals know about the Spanish breakout room?
Absolutely. Yes, feel free to share that we have Spanish interpretation available for those that are on the line. Thank you so much. We are so grateful for you all. Thank you. Here's the second icebreaker question. Take a moment to respond, and I'll share the responses momentarily. Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna end the poll now, sharing the results. So we have 20% male, 73% female, and we have 7% from the transgender community. Thank you all so much for being here. Moving on to our third icebreaker question. Please feel free to share how old you are. We are more than halfway there. Thank you all so much for your participation. Okay, ending the poll now and sharing the results. So we have 44% who are of age 18 to 24, 11% from 25 to 34, 11% from 35 to 44, 22% from 45 to 54, 7% from 55 to 64, and 4% that are 65 and above. We love the diversity in all of our board mobility programming, so thank you all so much for engaging. Our fourth question is going to be, what is your ethnicity? You're all getting quicker by every question. Thank you so much. We're now 82% there, participants responding. I'll give you all just one more moment. Very good. Ending the poll now and sharing the results. So we have 26% representing the African American community. Thank you so much. We have 16% from the Asian Pacific Islander community, 3% who are Caucasian, 45% who are Hispanic or Latinx. Thank you so much. And 3% who are Middle Eastern. Welcome, welcome, everyone. And 6% who identify as other, the categories not listed. Feel free to drop it in the chat. Stop sharing this one. And now to our second to last question is launching now. We'd like you to share, where are you in your educational journey? And this will also be super helpful to the wonderful speakers that we have lined up to speak with you today. Where are you in your educational journey? I'm ending the poll now. So we have 40% who are in high school. Welcome, everyone. 24% who are in college, 12% in graduate school, and 24% in professional school. And now for our final question. Thank you all so much for your engagement. We'd love to know, what are you most excited to learn about today? And I'll give you all a moment. And you can be excited for multiple things. There's no wrong answer here. I'll give everybody a few more seconds before I end the poll. Lovely. Thank you so much. So here are the results. 31% of you are interested why medical school and a healthcare career is important. 62% are interested in how to choose a medical school to begin with. 62% want to learn about the resources and tips from our professionals this morning. 41% want to know, how do they survive in medical school? 31% are interested in alternative paths to medical school, and 48% are interested in different careers in the healthcare industry. And there are the results there. So I'll stop sharing at this time. Thank you all so much for your engagement this morning and for being here. Before I introduce our fierce leader, Capri Maddox, I want to take just one moment and take a photo of us this morning. This photo will be used for our newsletter and social media. So if you're comfortable, please turn on your cameras and smile, and just bear with me for one moment while I take some screen grabs. So if everyone is ready, 1, 2, 3. And let me get one more. Everyone smile. One moment. We have folks joining us. Okay, there we go.
Oroxia, let's wait a moment. Councilmember McCosker just joined us, so we want to make sure we capture him in this photo.
Absolutely.
Yes, if you can turn on your video. I don't see you, but just in case, if you could turn on your video, we'd really appreciate it so we can capture you.
And now we have 2 pages full of participants, so bear with me as I get some screen grabs. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1, smile. And one more for page 2. 3, 2, 1. What a beautiful group we have here today. Thank you all so much. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to now introduce Capri Maddox, the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department, or also known as LA Civil Rights. She was appointed to be the department's first executive director in 2020 to address the systematic racism and bias in the areas of commerce, education, employment, and housing. Under her leadership, LA Civil Rights continues to work towards leveling the playing field through partnerships with communities and with our commissions and advisory bodies. She has worked for the city of Los Angeles for over 30 years and is a proud double graduate of Cal State LA with a JD from Pepperdine Law. Capri, take it away.
Hey, thank you so much, Araxia. Again, big thanks to you and our very own Angie for putting this together. And of course, I can't thank Nicole Bryant enough for coming up with the idea for this medical day. We want to be intentional here at LA Civil Rights to make sure that we focus on upward mobility programming, and that's helping people get into the middle class and beyond. I want you to know that we have so many leaders here, and today's event is a testament to our commitment to making sure this information is available to everyone. The racism that scares me the most, and this is coming from the head of the LA Civil Rights Department, I want to be very intentional, is medical racism and discrimination. There are people who are dying this morning, not because of their condition, but because of the color of their skin, and maybe how much money they have in the bank. And I know that it is important to make sure that we have leaders from all over our communities that can represent us and understand the cultural sensitivity to our communities, as well as really being intentional to do all they can while they can to change people's lives for the better in a different way. We can't all be in the Civil Rights Department. Some of us need to be at the hospitals. And I know Dr. Jerry Abraham is not on the call with us today, but really wanted to shout him out and acknowledge some of the work that they've done with Kedron, as well as the great work that's done with CDU, Charles Drew University, in making sure that we have medical professionals that are really making a difference. And some of you may know Dr. Jerry Abraham really probably gave out maybe 400,000 COVID-19 shots. And I think that he saved so many lives, and history would prove that to be right. And we have a great panel of folks that can provide information. They have the interactive breakout sessions, and they can guide you through the essential steps as you consider your legal career. I encourage all of you, please, please, please. I'm a student from Fairfax High, local LAUSD student. I wish we had programs like this when I was coming up. So I really commend all the high schoolers that are here on this call. And if you are considering a medical career, this is the right meeting for you. If you have friends that are even considering a legal career, we've done this event also for people going into law school with many of my friends from the legal community. But I encourage all of you to make the most of this event and engage with our fellow speakers and participate actively in the sessions. I want you to network with your fellow attendees as well. And the one thing that I would just want to remind you of is a majority of people that are getting unnecessary amputations are from the African-American community. As we celebrate African-American Heritage Month, the fact that African-Americans are 3 times more likely to have unnecessary amputations is something that is, terrible. And, with other communities, and even, even access to healthcare is a significant challenge. I know specifically with the Latino community, folks are afraid to go to the doctors. But if you have doctors from your very own community that speak your language and are intentional to make sure that they provide culturally effective care, it can be a game changer and change people's lives for life. And we have a wonderful panel of speakers, and I won't belabor the point, but I really wanted to let you know these are people that are tops in their league in this field and from the medical field. And I want you to know that one person that also has a professional degree as a fellow attorney is our very own council member, Tim McCosker from the 15th District, who is out there in the community somewhere and making a difference in so many ways. But it's a pleasure to have him as a supporter of the LA Civil Rights Department and to allow him to have welcoming remarks. Take it away, council member. Tell us where you are.
Thank you so much. I apologize for any background noise I may have, but we had a storm-related landslide at Cabrillo Beach in San Pedro, and so I'm on the beach with some of our lifeguards from the county and LAFD and LAPD and other service providers. So I apologize in advance, but I stepped away from the incident command to make sure I was here with you. This is so I am so honored to be considered a partner with the department and with Permanente and in this effort. I represent what we call the 1-5, and we call my district the 1-5 because we're one district, 5 beloved communities. I represent a very diverse district: San Pedro, Wilmington, Harbor City, Harbor Gateway, and the beloved community of Watts. I don't represent Willowbrook. I wish I did. Those great, wonderful, wonderful people, Kedron and Drew in Willowbrook, but we partner every day, every way with the community at the north end of my district. And it's important for me to be here to also voice that due to systemic racism that extends to the original sin of this country and extends beyond the medical profession, but because of that, medical outcomes, health outcomes for Black Americans are unacceptable and below the average that we should expect for every single, beloved member of our community. And there are so many causes, but just the important but not simple act of making sure that African Americans, Black folks, brown folks have the same opportunities others have to come into the medical profession and to be in community and in care with those that are in need is so critically important. And from a distance, I realize that my experience is not everyone's experience, but from a distance, I do see the challenge. I happen to have a family member, a nephew by marriage, who he is a medical professional and a Black man. And I've seen some of the struggles that he doesn't complain about. He just puts his head down and keeps working. And he is in the medical profession now, but it was a long, hard road. And I'm quite sure that Johnny's service to the people, his community, is invaluable. And so I applaud and commend, and I'm humbled just to be allowed to give welcoming remarks. And I hope the best for everybody here. I hope you have an opportunity, you participants have an opportunity to get information, to get encouragement, to see what you want to be, and to get into this medical profession and make sure that every single person through the 1-5, through Los Angeles, through California, through this country gets the type of care that they deserve. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, council member. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your leadership and your support, and best wishes to the folks that are out in the Cabrillo Beach area. I just really wanted to show a video. I know we have a video from Mayor Karen Bass, as well as a video from council member Heather Hutton. We show those now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mayor Karen Bass, and I am excited to be a part of the city's first ever Medical Day. I want to recognize Civil, Human Rights, and Equity Department General Manager, Permanente, and all of her wonderful staff who orchestrated this event to help connect Angelenos with healthcare professionals and current medical students to demystify the medical school admissions process and to learn about career paths in the health field. As a former nurse and PA, physician assistant, I know firsthand the challenges faced when someone is trying to enter the healthcare field. But you can do it. and the city of LA is here to help. While the road ahead may be difficult, it's challenging. You can do it. I know you won't give up. We need you to save lives, so stick with it. The sky is the limit.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Mayor Bass. Now from
Good
Councilmember
morning,
Heather.
everyone.
Now we'll have a video from Councilmember Heather Hutt. She is the council member for the 10th district, and we couldn't be more grateful for her support of our department. She believes in upper mobility programming, helping people get into the middle class and beyond. Is the video queued up with Councilmember Heather Hutt? If so, we can play it now. If not, we can move on and we can show it right before the breakout session. All right, we'll go ahead and show it right now. Okay, we're looking at it.
It's Councilwoman Heather Hutt of the 10th District, and I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you today, but we know you're going to have an amazing day with this great opportunity to really understand the medical industry and what kind of jobs are available for you. I want to start by thanking Capri Maddox. She is the general manager of the Los Angeles Civil Rights Department for her exemplary work in putting this event together, along with esteemed speakers that you're going to have today. Dr. Jerry Abraham, Dr. Alison Taur, as well as David Carlisle from Drew Hospital. I encourage you all to take advantage of this opportunity to network with folks and really get to understand what this is all about. You're going to have some really great discussions and engage, ask questions. Even if you think they don't apply, ask the question anyway. And as you engage, remember that it's not just about exploring a career, you're reshaping healthcare as we see it. So have fun, and your journey in medical care begins today. It is about now, it's not about later. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
All right, well, those were remarkable words from two amazing leaders that really support our department in this work. So I really want to get into talking to our panelists. I know that Dr. David Carlisle has another appointment around just after 11. So I would love to make sure that we have our panelists prepared and have an opportunity to speak with you all, because you know our panelists are who you came to see. So I would really like to thank Dr. Carlisle from Drew University and Dr. Carla Gonzalez for being with us today. And I'll read both their bios in just a moment. By the way, you should know that Dr. Carla Gonzalez is from, she's an alum of UCLA. And so we are very, very, grateful for her work as well. Dr. Carlisle has been the president and CEO of Charles Drew University of Medicine and Science in the Watts Willowbrook area of Los Angeles. He is someone that has had this role since 2011. He is a published author in health policy and medical education, thinking about how to deal with eliminating health disparities. He is a board certified internal medicine specialist. He has an MD from Brown University, and it's really important to know that he also has a PhD in health services from the UCLA Fielding School of Public Health. Dr. Carlisle has served as in many positions, actually, as a director of the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development for 11 years. This is something he's did under 3 governors. Under his leadership, he released its first ever health disparities report and increased scholarship and loan repayment opportunities for healthcare providers that are committed to the practice of medicine for underrepresented, under-resourced, and underserved communities. We have Dr. Carla Gonzalez, who is a graduate of the UCLA David Geffen School of Medicine. the Prime program and the UCLA Fielding School of Public Health. She trained in family medicine at the UCLA Family Medicine Residency program in Santa Monica. She has been practicing medicine since 2018 and initially in primary care and now in urgent care. She is also the medical director of the Wellness Center of the Historic General Hospital. Her interest in medicine was sparked by health disparities she witnessed in her community of Boyle Heights. And as a physician working in her very own community, she has a solid understanding of her patients' barriers to health, and her medical delivery model relies heavily on community partners and advocates at the Wellness Center. Together, they address matters of health in the community beyond the walls of a clinic, and she goes where patients live and thrive. And she is she's board certified in family medicine. We have an amazing panel here with us today. And I'd like to start by asking the first question. Why did, and it's for both of you, why did you initially pursue a healthcare career, and how has this profession changed your life? Dr. Gonzalez, would you like to start?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. It's so exciting to be here. And with Dr. Carlisle, I'm a big fan, Dr. Carlisle, and he is one of my mentors along with Dr. Loeza. I became a physician because I work at the Los Angeles General Medical Center, formerly the LAC USC Medical Center in Boyle Heights. And I remember going to the hospital really late in care. We didn't have access to go to primary care at the time. So we ended up, when we were very, very sick, in the ER, and we got very, very good care. The Los Angeles General Medical Center has always been the safety nets of the safety nets. And so, when we went there, we got excellent care. People were really there because they wanted to take care of my community. I was very impressed by that. What I didn't see is I didn't see people that looked like my family. I didn't see people that spoke our language. And I imagine that how much better could that care be? How much more can we do? Can we do this better if we have somebody that can really identify and connect with the community? And that was really where I got that spark. I was very young when I saw this, and I saw the General Hospital has been on a soap opera on TV, The Facade. And again, on that TV show, I would watch it because I was like, I know that building. That's where I go to the doctor. And I would see people that didn't look anything like us. And it was the same thing when I went there in person. So that was really the impetus, and that was really where my dream kind of got started. And the way it's changed me is I feel very empowered. I feel very fortunate. I feel that the healthcare problems are so huge. But every day we're able to make a small impact, and a small impact matters. When so many people are doing that, and we're all on the same page, I think that you can really make things much better on a large scale.
Oh, thank you so much for that answer. Dr. Carlisle?
And sure, and Capri, thank you very much to you and to the Office of Civil Rights for bringing this program to us and to our audience today. It's wonderful to see you. You and your team do great work, so thank you very much. I just want to echo everything that Dr. Gonzalez just said, and I'll add one perspective in terms of why I wanted to go into health professions, which is really the same thing that I think virtually every student at Charles Ardrey University would say, regardless of whether they're a medical student, a nursing student, a PA student, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Most of them, and I would say that we went into the health professions to make our communities, the ones we came from, a better place. And that makes CDU students a little bit different from your average health profession student who might not be as community focused. But that's really the primary reason we want to improve healthcare for the communities we came from.
Right. And, I really appreciate that it's very important that, you know, the Drew community is, you know, a part of Los Angeles, and, you know, just even thinking about the hospital that's right across the street and how that changed. And I do know a lot of that change was a result, and a lot of the investment in that area was a result of the previous county supervisor, Mark Routley Thomas, and now that legacy has been continued by the great work of Supervisor Holly Mitchell. And I really just wanted to take a moment to say that. And also the other thing that I think we should, you know, say is that the high school that you have there also makes a difference. And Nicole Bryant, that came up with the idea for Medical Day, even though she went on to do a master's and go to law school, she is the COO of our department, but she still had that connection to the medical community, even as being a high school graduate. So I'm very, very grateful for your work and how you all in that community make a difference in so many ways. Now, I'd like to, you know, go to our next question, and I just want to know what's like the most rewarding thing about being a doctor, and what has been the most challenging or barrier that or challenging moment or barrier that you face. So the most rewarding and the most challenging thing about being a doctor. And Dr. Carlisle, why don't you start us off?
Sure. The answer to the first question is pretty simple, and I say this to students all the time when they're considering health professions. It doesn't matter whether you're a physician, again, PA, nurse, radiologist, technologist. At the end of the day, independent of whether a patient can pay for your services, you might be doing volunteer services, you might be taking care of somebody on an airplane, but it's the phrase that they utter when all is said and done, which is thank you. There are very few professions that give you a continuous opportunity to constantly improve somebody's health and well-being, and to hear somebody acknowledge it is the greatest reward for being a healthcare provider. Again, whether they can pay you or not. To your second question, Capri, that's more difficult because there are a lot of hurdles that we face, have faced, continue to face. The biggest maybe is just getting into the health professions. We use standardized testing throughout this process. And even when you become a healthcare professional, you continue to take standardized tests. And for many, many individuals, those standardized tests are their Waterloo. They can be the single biggest hurdle. You sit down on one day to take that MCAT, and all of a sudden you're having a full-on reaction. Your heart rate goes up, you're perspiring, your blood pressure goes up, your stomach starts to get upset because everything is riding on that. And in many ways, it actually is. So that's one of the biggest hurdles, is just getting into the health professions. But there are others as well, and we can talk about them later. But I'd say if we had to focus on a concentrated hurdle, I would say it's that right there.
All right. And when we're in the breakout rooms, I would like more of our panelists to talk more about how to get through the application process, including surviving the MCAT. Dr. Gonzalez, how about you? What are your most rewarding things about being a doctor, and what are the barriers or challenges that you faced?
So I'm going to take a question and I'm going to flip it. I'm going to answer the second one first. The second one leads to why I'm so grateful and the things that make me so happy to continue to be in this profession and to continue to take care of our patients. Our patients come to us with so many barriers to health already, and being able to understand those and being able to address those is a real challenge when you only have a few minutes with them in front of you. You can write a prescription, you can do a little bit of counseling for them, you can listen to them, you can listen, and that's probably the most important thing you can do. And then you're left with like, okay, what do I do? What now? I know this person is going back and coming back to all of those challenges that still exist. So for me, one of the most rewarding things is that I am actually able to see them on the other side at the wellness center. And this goes for all community partners that are interested in providing those wraparound services for our patients. But you know, when I hear that a patient is at risk of being evicted from their home, I can connect them to the legal health services that we have. I can connect them to the small stipends that we've been able to secure. If they are suffering from intimate partner violence, I can connect them with East LA Women's Center, and it's all in one place. It's very nice to actually be able to take their hand and literally walk them over there. So I think for me, I just feel so glad that I'm able to have those resources. I'm able to have other folks around me. And that makes it that makes the barrier that we have, the most challenging situation in taking care of patients, it makes it just a little bit sweeter by being able to provide those services.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for those answers. And I'll just tell you, for those that are listening, I believe that being a doctor is the most powerful profession that you can go into. Some people say it's politics or no, Lord, no. You have the power to keep people alive and to change their lives for life. And so thank you to both of you for going through the challenges to be able to be first to serve in communities that are in need. I want to ask Dr. Carlisle, this question is specifically for you. Your medical career has led you to serve on several boards, like the California Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. You've also had a chance to serve with RAND, UCLA Center for Health Policies and Studies. Can you tell us how your medical background helps you serve in these roles?
Well, Capri, thank you, and I appreciate your last comment, recognizing that you're an attorney. Both of my children are attorneys. There's a lot of change capability in that profession as well, to be sure. So thank you for that. You know, I came out of residency at Harbor UCLA in internal medicine, and when I came out of my residency, I was pretty much an excellent one patient at a time doctor. I was like a hospitalist. I could do it all, basically. I could only see one patient at a time. I went to the Watts Health Center with a National Service Corps obligation and was asked to get a master's degree, and I picked public health. Went to the Geffen School, went to the Fielding School of Public Health at UCLA, the executive program run by Paul Torrens at that time, the late Paul Torrens, and that changed my perspective on healthcare significantly. And I like to use the example of, you know, a mug, like this mug. And you see it from the physician's perspective, and it says one thing, CDU. But public health basically allowed me to swing it around and see something else where it says 157. That allowed me to focus on populations of healthcare and see things differently than medical training had prepared me to do. And that led on to additional careers in research on the faculty at UCLA. You mentioned RAND, you mentioned the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. These are all kind of macro things. It's like going from the pan into the fire. I've just been very privileged and honored to have been able to serve in these roles, including being here as president of Charles R. J. University.
I'm very, very proud of you being able to turn around that mug. And for those that are on my staff, that mug may look very familiar to you because I drink out of it every day at work. But mine doesn't have, my mug, by the way, is an OG mug. I don't have the 157 on the backup. So I'll have to apparently upgrade because now you have your very, very own medical school. And of course, best to both of your attorney offspring that are doing great work in their own right. I want to take a moment to ask Dr. Gonzalez a question about your board certification in family medicine and your influence to your approach to healthcare. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, how you have used this to influence your approach to healthcare, this background?
Thank you, thank you. First of all, I want a mug like that. I need my own mug too. So family medicine, so family medicine, you know, when I was thinking about what kind of doctor I was going to be, this is like long after like that first idea when when I was little and I wanted to be a doctor. This was already like I was actually in medical school and I was like, okay, like I know what I want to do and how do I conceptualize it? And really what I wanted to do is I wanted to be the type of doctor that could answer the questions that my family had. That was it. Like I just want like if they have a cold, if their stomach hurts, if they have an achy knee or if they have an achy shoulder, I wanted to have like the breadth of that knowledge. And as I was going through medical school and going through all my rotations, it really solidified that I wanted to be the kind of doctor that was seeing, delivering babies. So they call it from cradle to grave, delivering the babies, taking care of the moms, taking care of the teenagers, the adults, and longing to, old age, taking care of our older patients who are maturing and having challenges as well. So for me to be able to kind of learn a little bit or a lot about that entire span was really important. And today I feel really fortunate that I actually can do that. People can ask me questions and if it takes a specialist, I say, you know what? I don't know everything about that, but I do know what specialist I can get you to. But at least you're able to answer. You are able to answer a lot of the questions and really take care of people and keep them healthy. And do preventive care. So that's I think the gift of family medicine.
Right. And the major gift of being any kind of doctor is just think about how many times you've had to go to the doctor with your family members. And to have that authority to sit in the room with a fellow doctor and say, I'm also a medical professional. This is my mother. This is my grandma. This is my aunt. And so I think that, in caring and providing service to others, even in your own family, is something that's important, but also being able to have that skill set from the beginning to the end of life is something that's critical. So the other thing I just wanted to say quickly is the fact people in the medical community are respected worldwide. And so when people are even traveling from country to country and needing to get a visa to, go or move somewhere else, oftentimes, having the credentials of being a medical doctor, carries a lot of weight, as it does even when you're in the community helping your family members. So we only have 2 questions left. And, this one is a question that I think may help students as they start to think about going to medical school. If you could go back and give yourself any advice, just one piece of advice when you were initially considering medical school, what would it be? Dr. Carla, how about you go first?
Well, the advice that I would give is don't give up. If you look at most successful healthcare professionals, everyone has fallen down at some point, and we've all had to get back up and keep going. Everyone has had to overcome hurdles. The word tenacious applies, and pursuing the goal, not giving up, but also remaining focused. When I took my first biology examination in college, and I came into my school, I was probably one of the best science students in my high school. I thought that I was all that and everything else. I flunked that examination. And I said, well, you've got to change everything. No more hanging out, no more weekend parties, buckle down, study. I ended up getting an A in the class. But that was hard, but it also sent a message that if you want to be successful, you have to focus. And I would make sure that you're focusing on the right things and avoiding things that are kind of not allowing you to move forward for that goal of getting into a health profession school.
All right. And I love that, you use your failure in that moment to propel you to be who you are and to make sure that so many other people get across the finish line. Dr. Gonzalez, what advice would you give to your younger self as you considered medical school?
Growing up, I was a good student. I actually struggled a lot with math and science. They did not come easy to me. But I remember my mom used to say, it doesn't matter what what you end up deciding to be, but you better be the best damn whatever it is that you decide to be, you be the best at it. And I remember that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna work hard. I saw my mom work hard every single day. I actually, she never even missed a day of work as far as I can remember. And so I remember I was like, that I'm going to do that. I may not know all the answers and I may not have all the answers, but I am going to study it. If people are studying 30 hours, I'm going to study 60 hours. I'm going to study double the time. And it paid off. It really did. And yes, that means like what Dr. Carlisle has said. Sometimes it means you got to sacrifice. You're not going to be able to see your family. You're not going to be able to see your friends. You may not have money. You may not be able to eat good food, but it does mean that you will become the hardest worker. And I will tell you that in the medical profession, the people that are the most appreciated, the most loved, and who get the farthest are the people who have that strong work ethic. And I know there's a lot of people on this panel that have that strong work ethic.
Right. And I really appreciate that. And the advice you gave, Dr. Gonzalez, is transferable to any profession of just, being the best of whatever you're going to be. So your mother's advice has been transferred to many folks that are on this call today. So the time has flown by so quickly, and I really enjoyed learning a little bit about both of you. But our final question is something that tends to be in the back of our minds when we're struggling. So I really appreciate your advice. This will help others realize that, everyone goes through something. And I just want to ask you, to be candid and say, to answer this question for me, did you ever face any doubt about your path to becoming a doctor, or think you weren't the, air quotes, right kind of person for medical school? And how did you overcome these obstacles? So did you ever face any doubt in your path to becoming a doctor? We'll start with Dr. Gonzalez.
Capri, I still feel like that, even today. So I think we're kind of referring to the imposter syndrome. And for me, it's not ever been something that went away. But when I have those moments, and they still happen even now, there are those daily rewards that you get, as Dr. Carlisle said, the thank yous, the times that you made things slightly better or maybe significantly better for someone, and people are like, well, thank you so much. It's making such a huge difference. For me, that's really important. And one of the things that you can do, I mean, you have the power to do this, is what I love being able to speak with, people who are trying to get into medical school, is because we need you. Like, who else is gonna scold the little Latina grandmothers in Spanish and get away with it unless you can actually speak it yourself, right? I do this on a daily basis. I'm like scolding them, and I'm getting away with it. That's not something you would ever otherwise do. But I think that when you're able to connect with people like that, and be effective, those are the times that that you feel like you are the right person. You are the right person to be taking care of our population.
Right. And I really appreciate that that candor. And it's something that we all, regardless of your position, you feel. And I will tell everyone that's on this call, the thing that helps us on days like that when we wonder, what are we doing? How do we, how are we in these spaces? Because it happens to all of us, is, God sends someone to say, you helped me to do, or help me get better, or whatever. And that always makes things better for us. And I'm encouraging all of the students that are here, if you are ever in a space with the doctors that are on this panel today, go, and you become a medical professional, or even if you don't, go walk up to them and tell them you appreciate them sharing their service and their time with you, even on this morning, because sometimes folks just need that love, regardless of their position, and know it was worth it. Dr. Carlisle, same question to you. What did you ever face any kind of doubt, wondering if you were the right person for medical school, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Oh, I would say I'd echo everything that Dr. Gonzalez said. There's a constant trial in the health professions. First of all, we talked about getting in the first place. But one thing you have to do as a health professional is deal with failure. You encounter failure almost every day. Every time a patient dies that you're taking care of, and it happens, that maybe you can view that as a failure. So again, you have to have this resilience to survive, and that can apply to academics to being pre-health as well. Not everyone gets straight A's all the way through. You have to deal with failure. I also want to provide a kind of a 30,000-foot comment to close this out. Speaking to what Dr. Gonzalez said as well. The reason we need more Black and Brown physicians in this country is that these are the populations that are suffering the most from the failures of the American healthcare system. Despite the fact that we spend more than 50% than any other country on healthcare per person in the United States, we rank far from number one on any international metric of health outcomes. And a big part of the reason is underrepresented, underserved, under-resourced communities of color in this country are not getting the healthcare they need. If we got the healthcare that we need in these communities, those numbers would change. And the reason we need people like everyone on this conference in healthcare, in the medical professions, is to rectify that. Because that's if we don't diversify our healthcare professions, we won't rectify it. It'll be status quo ante for a long time. So I just wanted to close with that comment as well. And I'll just say to all the students out there, we need you in healthcare.
That's well said, well said. And I put in the chat for everyone to let you know that we are in the process of preparing folks to ask us questions. I've had the privilege of leading this panel and asking the questions, but we do have time for 2 or 3 questions before we lose these 2 amazing, talented, and generous doctors. And let's see, do I have any questions in the chat? Angie or Araxia, do you see any questions?
There's one that just came in, Capri. It says, Dr. Gonzalez, what were your struggles as a Latina woman in the medical field?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. That is a good question. So there's a couple here actually. One of them is that because of that imposter syndrome, you are often shortchanging yourself. Opportunities are gonna come your way. Doors are going to open, and you will need to decide to take them or not to take them. Take those opportunities, and there are great opportunities that are challenging. I remember when I was asked to be the medical director of one of our primary care clinics. I had only been there for about a year, right out of residency. And I remember calling Dr. Loeza and saying, like, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I don't have that knowledge, and I don't have that skill. And she said, well, you'll learn it. It's going to be hard, but you'll learn it. And I did, and I took over right actually as COVID was coming in. And so that was a challenge that was layered on top of it. And I felt that, with being able to connect, with not only like my patients, but my peers, and be able to like lead that clinic, it was a challenge. It really was. People don't always listen to you. They listen to I'm sorry to say this, but they listen to males. They listen to the tall person, they listen to the people who are louder in the room. And so those are challenges that you just face every day. And that experience, as hard as it was, it really taught me that you have to speak up in circles. You have to come to the table. There's these round conference tables that they'll have at the hospitals, and I was always the one who sat in the back. And somebody once said, you shouldn't sit at the table. And I think that's one of the things that I faced as a Latina woman, is really being able to envision myself in that space and saying, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna sit there. So now I do that, even though it may not feel comfortable, it may feel like still not right. I do it. I force myself to do it. And but yeah, these are some challenges. The other challenge is that with if you should think about, and if this should be the right thing for you to have children, it's kind of hard to plan that. Like, how do you plan that? When I got pregnant, I was actually in medical school, and I remember I met Dr. Loeza, and she'll tell you this story. I said, how do you do this with the kids? What do you feed them? And I sat there, and it was only because I had somebody to talk to. I was becoming a mom later in life because I had put things off to go to medical school, and it was just so nice to be able to have another person, another brown person who could understand me and who I can connect with. And so yeah, I just want to share that was a challenge for me, is really finding the right time to plan for my family, my future family.
That's a wonderful, wonderful answer, and it's one that many women in professional that attend professional school deal with, and getting the education, and then getting married, starting family. And so I really think that we appreciate all the complexities that you have to go through and all the challenges that you overcame. Dr. Carla, you mentioned taking the MCAT and how nervous you were, and of course your nerves after you didn't get a good grade. Can you talk about how you dealt with anxieties, and then on a bigger level, even if you have any other advice about how people can deal with anxiety that may be even greater than a temporary anxiety?
Sure. Thank you, Capri. Thank you for the question also. This is something that most healthcare professionals have learned to manage. I won't say deal with, but manage, because anxiety is something that's kind of always with you in some way. And you have to overcome it, because it can pull down, for example, your performance on a standardized test. Absolutely. People are always anxious when they're taking these tests. One way to address that is to practice and take practice examinations, and be in environments that will prepare you for just walking in the room and sitting down and taking a test over and over again. Concrete advice in that vein. Another type of anxiety is sort of this anxiety that we face on a daily basis. I was recently talking to a trauma surgeon from UCSF, and I asked her, wow, you probably can only save half the patients that you're operating on. How do you deal with it? And she said very candidly, you know what I do? I cry. I probably cry after almost every surgery that I do, whether it turns out well or doesn't turn out well. And then she said, one of the reasons I'm successful is my colleagues allow me to do this. They know that it's my coping mechanism, and so nobody resists it. And then I get up and I do it all over again. Another way that we address anxiety is sort of the opposite. Dr. Gonzalez, we've been around the block. We've overcome hurdles. We know we can do the job. We have self-confidence, and we know what our capabilities are. And that confidence can propel us through very challenging situations that we face. So that's another thing that you can understand as well. So to all the students, keep practicing, keep rehearsing, and that will improve how you do going forward.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for that answer, Dr. Carla. And by the way, anxiety before you perform or do events, still a thing. So even in law school, sometimes I would take my cue cards and I would board them so that I could, hear myself, my own voice, or rewrite things, whatever you need to do to remember what you need to do. And even sometimes before I give speeches, I might record it and listen to it a few times before I take the mic. So really appreciate that advice. And this is one question that's very sensitive to me. Did anyone ever tell either one of you that the medical profession wasn't right for you, and how would you respond now? Let's start with Dr. Gonzalez.
I was fortunate that I did not ever tell that I was not ever told that, but I do recall a time when I was sharing with somebody that I wanted to that I was thinking about, like, I didn't know about medical schools, and I was like, I think I want to go to UCLA. And it was a biology professor, and she's like, she looked at me and she gave me this really strange look, and she's like, UCLA is a really hard school to get into, and because you should really think about that. Um, and then again, I didn't know a lot about medical schools at the time, and so then I did what probably most of us will do. They take that as a challenge. They're like, okay, well then that's where I'm gonna go then. But yeah, that's what happened with me. And I think I've been fortunate enough to surround myself around people who've always actually uplifted me and given me the fuel to keep going. And so I've been really fortunate in that. And I look for those spaces. I look for those spaces where I can find people that are supportive and are going to care, and who really just want the best for you and want to see you succeed.
Thank you for that. And I thank you for being an overcomer and a proud Bruin from the medical school. So thank you so much for that answer. Dr. Carla, anyone ever tell you this profession isn't right for you, and how would you respond now?
Oh, yes, in various ways. This has happened to me in various ways. And I even encounter some versions of it today that I have to address and tell myself, like the little engine that could, yes, you can, we can do it. And that's a very common expression in California history. And I think it really demonstrates what it means to be tenacious. Many students of color in the health professions have been told, you can't go to a UC. You can't become a physician. You can't become a nurse. You're just incapable of doing this. And you know what? They've all overcome those hurdles. So when you hear somebody telling you that, they're not speaking for you. They're speaking at you. And somebody speaking for you would never actually say that.
That's right. I really appreciate that. And just for the high school students that are here, you should know that I'm sure Dr. Carla also heard someone say, you can't create the 157th medical school, but he drinks to that every time he holds his mug. That the 157 is something that's important that he will never, ever forget. That's how he responds. He just takes his cup and drinks from it, the cup of success. And so, and just so you know, for any high school students here, these things happen to me. My guidance counselor at Fairfax High told me I was not college material, and I have a bachelor's and master's in law degree. And just last week, I got the call asking if I would be willing, if I could be in, if I would accept being inducted to the Fairfax High Hall of Fame. And so I think it, and I'm very, very grateful that we've had many honors that are, even more prestigious, but it just goes to show that if I had listened to that person, that, this moment right now wouldn't be a reality. And so I want you to listen to the people that are helping you. And even if someone is giving you the constructive words of, if you want to do this, then you must do X. And those are people that love you. And I want you to hear those voices the loudest as you go anywhere in your career and whatever you do. It could even be a homeowner or anything. The people that tell you, no, you can't do it, it's not for you, they're not on your side, as Dr. Carla said. So with that, I really just want to thank, both of our panelists for being with us, for being generous of spirit, making a difference. And, you know, Dr. Carlisle and Dr. Gonzalez, I have to quote John F. Kennedy Jr. who said, anyone can make a difference and everyone should try. And you all are making a difference every day. You're lifting a better community. And, you know, I know that Dr. Carlisle will have to drop off, and he will be represented by the COO, Dr. Angela Minifield, who really helped to flesh out the idea for Medical Day as well with Nicole Bryant from our team. But I'm just, you know, more than grateful. I just want to tell you on behalf of a grateful city, including my boss, my very own Mayor Karen Bass, and then members of the City Council, just, you know, thank you. We at LA Civil Rights are building a Los Angeles for everyone. And again, folks can go to laforeveryone.com to learn more about our department. And for the young folks, and those that aren't so young, you can follow us at Civil Rights, and we'll have someone put that information in the chat so you can see what we do and how we, like Dr. Carlisle and Dr. Gonzalez, strive to make a difference for underserved, underrepresented, and under-resourced communities. So with that, thank you both. Keep the faith, keep the fight. I'm now going to turn it over to Araxia for the breakout session. So very, very grateful for our great breakout session panelists. And I see all of the clapping hands and, you know, the emojis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Capri. Thank you to our brilliant panelists, and thank you to all our attendees for your engagement. I am now going to briefly explain the next round of our program. I know we've all become Zoom experts by now, but I still want to share brief instructions as we transition. So in the next few minutes, we will be launching different breakout rooms. The breakout room panelists and staff, please look out for the breakout room icon at the bottom of your screen, and you will automatically be going into the room that you are pre-assigned. For our attendees, you too should look for the breakout room icon at the bottom of your screen, but you can actually choose which room you would like to join. So we have 3 rotations of each room. Each will last about 35 minutes. For reference, thank you so much, Angie. Here are the rooms. Breakout room 1 will consist of the admissions process and talking about financial aid for medical school. Breakout room 2, we have our careers in medicine. And breakout room 3, we will talk about journeys to medical school and how they survive. So when you join the breakout room, you will be greeted by a representative from our team at LA Civil Rights. They'll introduce the topic, our wonderful speakers that we have lined up for you, and then they'll go ahead and facilitate any questions that you have. I really, really want to emphasize that the goal of the breakout rooms is to allow for conversation between attendees and our amazing breakout room panelists. Please take advantage. This is your opportunity to speak with them one-on-one, and you'll have 35 minutes to do so. So with that being said, why don't we take a 2-minute, very quick stretch break, get some water, get some coffee, and then we'll reconvene in 2 minutes. I'll open up the breakout rooms and we'll get started with the second half of our program. Thank you all so much. And if you have any questions at any point, I'm still here, or feel free to drop it in the chat. Okay, if folks are back, go ahead and turn on your cameras. Get ready to unmute yourself to ask our professionals the questions that you have. As a reminder, it is going to be 3 rotations of the breakout rooms. So the first time you can go into breakout room 1, and then the second time when we come and reconvene and then we break out again, you can go into breakout room 3. And then the final round, you can go into breakout room 2. So you'll have the opportunity to speak with each individual from each breakout room. So at this time, I'm going to open up all the breakout rooms. For our panelists, feel free to join your room that you're pre-assigned, and our attendees, choose any one of the 3.
If you aren't able to join on your own, feel free to put on the chat or unmute yourself, and Roxy and I can help you move to the breakout room of your choosing.
Absolutely. We're happy to manually move you if you're having any technical difficulties. Please let us know. And I'll repeat the questions or the directions again for guidance. You should see a breakout room icon at the bottom of your screen. If you don't see it there, depending on how large your screen is, you can go to the More option and you'll see breakout rooms. A screen will pop up that says breakout rooms in progress, and you're welcome to assign yourself and join any room that you'd like, 1, 2, or 3. I see some folks chatting me, and I'll manually move you in. Just bear with me one moment.
Can I go to breakout room number 2? I want to just be there for a moment.
Absolutely, Capri. I'm going to repeat the instructions once more. So if you go to the More icon, you'll see the words breakout room. And if you click on that, you'll be able to be moved in. If you're chatting me, bear with me because there is quite a few coming in. If you're able to move yourself, please do so. And I'll move the rest
Roxia,
of you manually. Yes,
can you please give the facilitators permission to record?
absolutely. Thank you.